5 years I've been threatening this episode, and here we are. We're going to talk about attribution. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and anyone who doesn't fall into any of those categories, we are going to uncover something very complicated today. And I checked back in my show notes. 5 years I've been threatening this episode, and here we are. We're going to talk about attribution. If you haven't tuned into the show before, my name's Nick, and this is Tuesday Tea Break Talks, and we are going to go in. I don't have guests on Tuesdays. I just try and make sense of complicated things and give you guys some advice about what we should be doing. I'm going to jump straight in. This is going to get complicated, and I make no excuse for that. Before you turn off, everyone, and I mean everyone in marketing, everyone in e-commerce, anyone who works on Shopify or for any sort of commercial business that has a website and wants to generate some revenue from that website, leads, inquiries, whatever KPI, which we're going to talk about at some point in this episode. Everyone needs to know about this. I get probably more questions on this than anything else. It's super complicated. And I'm just going to explain the topic and then we're going to jump in. So the topic is called attribution. And what it means is every time some money gets paid to your business, the question you should be asking, especially in marketing and sales, is you should be asking, or in management, which covers all of those things anyway, you should be asking the question, how did we get this sale? There's money in our bank account. Where did it come from? And you need to be able to attribute that to the marketing activity or the business activities that generated that money. So bringing that down then to Shopify and talking about e-commerce, and I'm going to touch a little bit on a whole range of things. I've got some I'm beating around the bush because this is such a complicated topic, and this might not be my first time of recording this. This is the first take, so if this goes live, great. I seem to have, in my own head, nailed it. But we're going to talk about what channels and how did you get those sales in the first place. So how did somebody go from, I've not heard of this business, or I wasn't going to buy from this business, or I'm thinking of buying a product, and choosing your business as a place to buy it from? Gosh, which is also in my notes. The word gosh I've put in several times. Let's talk about then how companies normally attribute the revenue, and then we're going to talk about some of the issues with attribution in general. And there is no one size fits all here. There is no one size fits all. So attribution in this normally is something like a Google Analytics 4 report. You might look at your Shopify Analytics, which sucks for this. Shopify Analytics is good once somebody clicks add to cart. It's not so good at telling you where people came from, but we're going to get into some of that in a little bit. But the thing with attribution will be like, okay, we're running ads on Meta. We've spent $20,000. How many dollars have we made back from those ads? And most people, I'm not going to get onto that yet. Again, there's so many things. I was going to tell you what most people do wrong. We'll come on to what most people do wrong in a minute. But that's what attribution is. So how do you attribute those sales? And GA4 tends to be the main thing that people use and the main place people go. And I don't disagree with that, but a lot of people don't understand what the numbers mean. I'm not going to talk through the numbers specifically. I'm going to talk about attribution as a whole, because you as a business need to make a bit of a decision tree or some sort of blueprint for this is how we attribute sales and why. Right. So the issues with attribution, the issues that businesses face when they're trying to attribute what money they put into marketing and advertising compared to what revenue comes out the other end. And I got 6 of these. Number one, all channels think they made the sale. So Meta will say, I ran an ad to someone and they later purchased from you, regardless of what happened next. And there's loads of issues with that. But Meta might have shown an ad, someone didn't even see it, didn't engage with it, and obviously not in a buy-ready setting. Equally, it might have been someone who went, that's a really cool phone case, and then bought a phone case later. So that's one issue. The second issue is, in reality, customers these days probably use more than one channel to make a purchase from you. They probably use comparison sites. They might look at cashback sites. They might sign up to your email before they purchase. And then does it look as though it was email in the GA4 data? It's a nightmare. Again, I'm using words like gosh, a nightmare. I've put a note under this list that says, just remind yourself what you got into, Nick, choosing this topic for today. And if I say anything wrong, sorry, this applies to lots of businesses, not all businesses. The third one then is like, the general journey is there's awareness hey, I think I should, this jacket, I love this jacket. I don't normally wear it at work, but I love this jacket. It's more of a home jacket. And I love this jacket, and it didn't cost me much, but I love it. There was a point where I saw jackets like this around and went, oh, I might buy one of those. And that wasn't related to any advertising, marketing, or any brands in particular. I just saw people wearing them and went, that's a nice jacket. I like a good collar, and this one has particularly got quite a firm collar. It's just my style. Not that I have any style, but there's an awareness bit. And then the second part is there's the engagement. Now when I went in shops, started going, oh, that's a nice jacket. Maybe not that one. That one's a nice jacket. Maybe not that one. Or I looked online and went like, all right, zip jackets with no hood, good collar on them, etc. And then there was the conversion point. And I bought this from a brand in the UK called Marks and Spencer's. And there was a conversion point. I walked into a shop and I'd already been looking for these. And I think I walked into one of their stores and just saw it and went, I'm buying that. I was so far into my journey, and Marks and Spencer's probably did nothing to get me. No marketing, no sales. I just walked into a store and went, oh, that's nice. And I've been looking for those. I'll buy that one there. And there are probably 100 products shown to me, but that was the one I was like, I've been looking for those. That's nice. I like the zip on it's made of metal, which is nice. I don't want a plastic one because it'll break, knowing the way I use clothing. But the point being is there's these 3 different parts. So as a brand, you need to decide, you probably want to exhaust conversion as much as possible and be digitally in that place where I walk in and go and buy that one. You want to exhaust that as much as possible. The second stage, you want engagement, definitely. And lots of brands, I think, go too heavily on the awareness bit. They spend loads of money telling people they exist or their product exists, and not enough to get people down the bottom of that funnel or hook people in early, which we'll come to in a minute. Issue number 4, so many customers make their purchase through a channel on GA4 called direct. Direct is your browser's already remembered to go to that site. So you've come in direct. Nothing's sent you here. You didn't click on a link here. Your browser just remembered. And GA4 generally runs on a thing, which I'll comment on in a minute, called data attribution. Sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. Data-driven attribution. And data-driven attribution means that if it was like SEO, then direct, or PPC, then direct, or meta, then direct, it will show it as meta or SEO or PPC. It'll only show it as direct if I know they came direct in, but I don't know where they came from before. Or I don't think the previous journey was connected enough. I think they've just decided, I'm going to buy from Marks and Spencer's, and in they came. So that is also a major, major problem. So having lots of sales from direct tells you people come back to buy, which doesn't help you decide where to spend your advertising money, where to focus your efforts, where to push marketing. So that's a nightmare. Number 5, there's 6 issues here. Number 5, cookies, GDPR, privacy, tracking tool issues, scripts not firing, technical problems on site, pixels fighting each other. There's a whole nightmare of things that can actually just stop GA4 from even reporting data. Some of GA4 now, and the same with Shopify and all the analytics platforms, is estimated. Nightmare. If you're listening to this, I just did the live emoji of a brain exploding, going my mind's blown. Oh my gosh, where do we go? And then number 6, even when you've got a tool and say it's completely bulletproof, it's 100% accurate, which is technically illegal in most countries, right? Doesn't mean it's illegal. It means the way you've got that data probably was illegally. Is once you've got all the data in a tool, you can choose on some of these tools data-driven attribution. You can choose last-click attribution and just say whatever the channel was that led them to a last-click purchase. And that's generally how Shopify analytics works. Shopify tell you, everyone just came in direct, great. And you go, well, that's great. I'll turn all my advertising off. And suddenly no one's coming in direct. It wasn't correct in the first place. So Shopify is not very good at that, and it uses last click. Or you could even use first click. However they came into the site the first time, I'm going to attribute all the revenue there. Data-driven attribution model is, like I explained earlier, where people come in direct. Data-driven will say, all right, you've clicked on a Meta ad, you've clicked on a Google ad, you've come in from an SEO listing, then you sign up to email, and then you purchase later. I'm going to give a little bit of your $100 you spent. I'm going to give a little bit to each of those channels, depending on which one you're the most engaged journey on. Doesn't that sound amazing? But then number 5, just rolling back one, GDPR, cookies, privacy, issues with tracking tools, pixels not firing, etc. You won't get that much accurate data. It's a minefield. This is why I've spent 5 years threatening to cover this and haven't. Some guests have offered to come on, and I've spoken to them about it in advance, going, I'm sorry, I don't think you understand attribution enough. And I know I don't know everything about any of the things we talk about on the show. So here we are. I think this is just a kind of self-counseling experience for me, humbling myself, because I talk a lot and I like to always know the answer, and I don't know. It's different for every business, and you have to accept There's a conclusion of all those issues. You have to accept there's going to be some nuances and there's going to be some gaps. And we're just going to have to accept that. There are some things, however, I haven't actually listed these, but just coming to mind, there are some platforms that are bulletproof. If Shopify says Joe Bloggs has bought a product from you for $200, Joe Bloggs has bought a product from you for $200. If it doesn't say Joe Bloggs bought a product from you for $200, then I can guarantee Joe Bloggs has not bought a product from you for $200. That's accurate. The traffic attribution bit's not so accurate. With things like Meta ads, Google ads, if you've paid for a click, it has sent a click to you and it will give you some information about that click. It will tell you what page it sent them to. It will tell you what they searched for on Google, or it might tell you what ads they've seen on Meta before coming in. That is bulletproof. It's all this changing channels and chopping and trying to tie that revenue bit to that is difficult. Google Search Console is also completely accurate. It's all your SEO traffic from Google. Great. If it says there's been a query, someone has typed in that query to Google and said, I need a new jacket with a metal zip and no hood. That's what I need. I want it to be made of cotton, blah, blah, blah. That's my query. That's the page they landed on. You know that bit's correct. Whether they bought on that journey or not, it doesn't tell you. Shopify just tells you there's been a sale. It doesn't say it was the same person that typed in that query. So we've kind of got both ends of this system, but not the stuff in the middle. And that's a problem. So I've got 7 things. The last one as well is I put pray, lol. It's number 7. So there's 6 real things. But before that, there's something you and your team need to do, or if you're a solo entrepreneur, then you need to have a think about this yourself. You need to decide internally what your top KPI or KPIs are. And I don't think you should sit around a room going, we should just measure this or measure that, or we should just do this. You need to check all of your data. And based on your customer journey, how many times they visit the site, how long they spend on the site, whether they communicate with customer service or not, signed up to email before they purchased. There's loads of things you need to look at, and you need to decide what is our top KPI for this. Here are a few examples. Your top KPI could just be revenue. We're going to attribute 25% of everything we spend to marketing, and the other 75% of our revenue needs to run the business. And so revenue is just going to be our big top KPI. And that is perfectly fine for some businesses. Some are a bit more savvy and they decide to work on profit, especially if you have varying profit margins. If your profit margin is pretty static, or you make your own products and you know what that costs per item, or for every 1,000 items, or we make 1,000 items a month and ship those, and we know what our fixed business costs are, then you can start to work out what profit is, and you can work on profit. COS, cost of sale, or another one is CTA, cost to acquire. CTA also in my world means call to action. So I don't like the CTA, the cost to acquire one, just because I don't want the same acronym meaning 2 things. But basically, how much did it cost you to get either a sale through the site or cost to acquire a new customer account? So that's quite good. But that relies on the next one, which is lifetime value. And then if you go one step further on lifetime value, I did a whole episode on that a few weeks ago as well. So feel free to go and check that out, and why that's the most misused, misunderstood metric in any marketing team. How exciting. Very clickbait, but very true. So go and watch that. LTV on. I made this one up when I was writing these notes, but LTV on investment. So what's the lifetime value of a customer relative to the investment it cost you to get the new customer? So you see, I've actually combined revenue with cost of sale on a lifetime basis, but you could even go LTP, lifetime profit, on the investment you made. So if you're investing $80 to acquire a new customer, which could literally be your total, we spent $200,000 this month and we've acquired 200 customers. It's cost us $1,000 a customer. I'm making these numbers up to keep it simple, but if it's cost you $1,000 per customer and you know you've got a profit margin of 50%, you need that customer to spend $2,000 on average lifetime to break even. So now you've got your metrics. But again, it comes back to the journey. And the final thing as well is stripping all this back. And this is also the first point of what can you do. I actually put, what on earth do you do then? This is an absolute minefield. But the last one, which relates to the last one on the data bits, is net and gross profit, which Shopify will give you gross profit. It specifically calls it total sales revenue rather than net profit or net revenue, because that doesn't take into account any of your fixed business costs. We've had, I think it was called Bookkeep, we had on the show last year, And they've got a bit of software you can actually put all of your business costs in and use that software plugged into Shopify to give you lots of insights as to where you're making money and where you're not, which is quite cool. So what do you do? What on earth do you do? Starting off with that net and gross profit figure, that KPI, just go back to complete basics. Move some budget between some channels. Go, right, we're spending 20 grand a month on Google ads. We're spending 20 grand a month on Meta. For 1 month, let's just lower Google to 10,000, increase Meta to 30. And you need to decide on the time frame, again, based on data. If most people buy on their first visit or within a few days of seeing an advert or signing up to email or whatever it is, then actually a month is absolutely fine. If people take 2 or 3 months to decide if they're going to buy, you need to make this shift for a longer period of time. But maybe watch some of those initial conversion pieces, the engaged traffic, etc. But if you start moving these levers, like amazing guy Nick, who's the CMO at Portland Leather Goods, we've had him on the show a few times now, and Nick said he looks at these big macro levers and he pulls them based on the data and then watches what happens to sales. They got quite a quick turnaround between initial engagement and actually custom coming in. So it's worth doing a bit of that. And that's point number 1. Number 2, which I think is really key, and you need to do this to do some of these other points if this is the route you want to go down, further on my list. The second one is using human logic. If it's and I said this already, is it something people would or can buy instantly or not? The more people need to measure and check, and if it's a big financial purchase, like say someone's buying a car, they're not going to do that online. They have to come to the car showroom. And this is where every single car brand, I mean, I've bought quite a few new cars. I bought quite a few used cars over the years. I love cars. And every single car brand gets this wrong. For me to buy a car, I need to go to a showroom. I need to drive the car. I need to have a conversation about all the different features and functions that I may or may not buy. And when I actually purchase the car I want, if it's a used car, I'm going to phone a completely random garage that might be hours away from where I live to say, you've got the exact model of car with all the things I want on it. It's that price. Can I pay a deposit? I'll have it. Like, or can I come and see it tomorrow? Like, I'll have it. So you see that journey. Car showrooms get this wrong because any car brand, showroom manufacturer, they always say book a test drive. No, you should do a consultation phone call. Have a conversation with us about what sort of thing you're looking for, what you're not looking for. It takes 10 minutes. You can choose the time on our calendar, like all of us in the B2B world do. It's like click here, schedule. They get it all wrong. And so if they started to do that, one of their measurable KPIs needs to be for marketing online, how many people have, rather than booked a test drive, that's quite far into the journey. You might be deciding between 5 brands and the call to action is, do you want to book a test drive or not? And you're like, I don't know. I need to look at the financials, how the engines work. Is it petrol, diesel? You guys don't really have diesel in America. You're missing out. It's good stuff compared to petrol. Is it electric? Is it hybrid? Is it plug-in hybrid? You've got all these questions first about the kit and everything else. Number 3 on the list, then get to the bottom of your data and change the user journey. If they don't buy on first visit, ask for an email sign up earlier, sooner rather than later, or earlier in their journey, and better that you do it now. And then you set a KPI, what percentage of our traffic are signing up to our emails? And you change what the emails are offering, you change the context you put on it, you change when you fire it, on the page when it actually fires to show somebody. You change those things to try and increase email signups. Comes your KPI, and then you can see, because they've signed up to email now, we've had all these people sign up to email in here, how many of them now have gone and bought a purchase. When they sign up to email, as much as you can, attribute the channel in your email system, or as B2B, we call it CRM. Customer record management. So we would have in that somebody filled out their email, joined our newsletter using this keyword on Google Ads, bang. We got all that info, and then we can see 3 months later they bought from us. And what email was it that made them buy? Let's put that email or that messaging earlier in the sequence now and see if we can get more people to purchase. You see how smart, it's very time consuming, but you see how smart it is, rather than what most brands are doing. What most of us do is just throw the budget out there and go like, yeah, we made some profit. Excellent. Move on. You probably made loads of losses in all of that and you just don't know. Number 4, you can do more to influence the first visit sale as well to help with instant ROI, attribution, and building building LTV, lifetime value long term. What this means is some sites have realized if they put a countdown timer saying sale ends at this time, or if it's quite a small, quick item, there's nothing on my desk right now that I'd buy quickly. I mean, maybe even these glasses. Like if I bought these glasses before and I'm a returning visitor to the same site I bought these glasses from, then why not just have a very quick, like next day delivery if you've bought from us before, but you've got to order by 3 p.m. and there's just a countdown going up to 3 p.m. because you know who I am. And because you sent me that discount code saying, and you sent me an email saying, what happens if your glasses break? Why don't you get a second pair? You can have 25% off because that's cheaper than us acquiring a new customer. It means you bought from us more than once, which means you're more likely to buy a third time from us later as well. Have 25% off. And if you order by 3 p.m. today, they'll be with you by tomorrow. They'll be with you in 2 days' time once we've made them. So again, that instant sale, you need to look at the data. Is that instant sale the route you need to go down with this? Number 5 out of 6, and a funny one. I thought it was funny. There are tools to help, but like all tools, they're only as good as the person wielding them. There's lots of attribution tools we've worked with in the past. But the problem is, like, one of them we were using for a clothing business we worked quite a bit in fashion and clothing over the years. You'll be able to tell it looking at my outfit. But one of the things we've found with a lot of these guys is, or one of all these tools, on the tool, if you change it to first click attribution, it will tell you Meta's done like 90% of all your sales. And we know that's not true, especially when we're spending like 10 or 20% of all of our advertising budget in Meta. We've even had a client who, for some reason, Meta suspended their account for like 3 weeks. It made no impact at all on bottom line sales. Like after 3 weeks, nothing had changed. And people buy on their first visit of that product. Nothing had changed. And then the question was like, are we going to turn this back on? Like, it was suspended incorrectly, but Meta they're so slow. It took ages to do it. But it told us that 90% of first click sales were happening through Meta. Last click, data driven, and all the other attribution models, they were all saying Meta, 5%. Meta was only driving 5% of the revenue. So people were finding out we exist through Meta, but it didn't think that was influencing their buying decision whatsoever. So again, money wasted or money well invested. Another brand we work with, we normally see Google converts better than Meta, and they wanted to put more money behind Meta. We're like, right, fine, do it. And within about 3 or 4 days of putting more into Meta, revenue did actually lift, and it changed the way we ran Google Ads. Google Ads became more about retargeting the people from Meta who didn't purchase, rather than what we thought was going on is Meta was doing the retargeting and we were trying to exclude purchasers and customers from Meta, just keep it focused on new customers or lapsed customers. And Google was doing all the hard work of like, I want to buy this. And Google popped up. We were wrong. Data told us otherwise and we changed it. But the problem is, again, these tools, they're only as good as somebody wielding the tool, the person that's actually using it. And final one, custom landing pages. You can do something quite fancy with a thing called a UTM tag going into GA4. You could even create a bespoke journey for certain channels. And you can do this for your owned channels. And what we mean by owned is you control where something talking about your business appears, your advert, your listing. You can control that. You can control where it goes on the site. So what we've done for some B2B clients of ours or lead generation clients is we've actually created, like almost duplicated the entire website. And the user thinks it's on the normal domain, but it's not. It's actually a version that you can only get to if you clicked on a Google ad, which means anything that happens on that site, all the leads we get from that site, and you tend to find in lead gen, most people, they become a lead on their first visit to site. It's quite rare it takes more than that. So it's a bit of an advantage there. But we create a whole separate version of the site, or we create a custom landing page where there is no main menu. You cannot leave this page to go to the rest of the website. It's like, you're looking for this. Here's one page that just offers you that. And we can see in the analytics how many people have filled out that form, because they'll be tagged differently in the CRM system if they filled out that form versus other forms. So we know all of that is Google Ads. And then we can watch the CRM system see the sales team's activity. How many of those people actually qualified into a good lead? How many then went on to spend money with that business? And how many then repeatedly spent money with that business, buying their product or service from there? So point number 7, pray. And I put lol next to it because I'm having a bit of a funny morning in the office. Lots of good banter today. But I hope that is helpful. My brain feels mushed and I do talk very quickly. So maybe rewind and listen to it all again on 0.5 or 0.75 speed. I hope that's been useful. We talk a lot about this. Attribution, you need to come up with a way of attributing sales to your business. And most importantly, you need to be aware of the KPI, the key performance indicator. What is that one number that means we make more money? Is it email signups? Is it immediate purchases? Is it people who attend a webinar that we run? Is it people that watch our live shopping videos? Is it people that follow us on TikTok? That doubles the chance of them buying from us. You need to work out what those KPIs are. Once you know what those KPIs are, you can optimize towards them and attribution becomes a lot easier. Hope it's been helpful. We're going to have a much simpler episode on Friday. I hope you can join me there. We've recorded a couple already and there's some incredible guests. I'm so excited. Thanks for tuning in today. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. Join our newsletter on wwspodcast.com. And if you want any help, you want to ask any questions, you want to come on the show, you want to sponsor, hello@winningwithshopify.com. Send us an email. Comes through to Byron and myself and a couple of the team, and we will pick that up and get back to you shortly. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you can join us again next time.